Judging on the title of this video, you're probably wondering what you stumble across, so just hear me out. So I've played Minecraft on and off here and there between 2012 and to the present day, and since September of 2017, I've been building my socialist Minecraft world. I do feel like adding this for reference. My family came from Yugoslavia. They immigrated in the late 60s, early 70s. Didn't really have a ton of issues necessarily. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but you know, I've always had this kind of interest in learning more about Yugoslavia, and then I guess that just kind of went with socialism as well, and also just challenging the general narrative here in the US, acting more rebellious. Oh, and to clarify, if my bass guitar is any indication, I will get to the Europe stuff soon, just to hear me out. With that in mind, starting September 2017, initially what I tried doing was making a world based off a certain country. I'm not going to name names. It would have a lot of tunnels, there would be a really tall empty tower, but then over time I just wanted to make it something just more realistic and something just more interesting to play on. I became more intrigued on making it something that I really wanted to enjoy playing on, and then also just like how it looked aesthetically. Another reason I'm making this is because this world was partially inspired by this one YouTube video of some guy's socialist Minecraft world back in like 2013. I commented on that video mentioning, like, talking about how it kind of inspired me to make my own, to which he actually responded and mentioned I should make my own video about it. And I just never got back to it until like now, like 14 months later, so sorry about that, guy. So with that in mind, let's start. The area that we're beginning at is the airport. Initially, you start by getting off this plane that I built, and the thing about the plane is that there is a first class section. This is the last time you're going to see a class sectioned off for somewhere. Immediately from exiting the plane, you're on the tarmac and are greeted with 2 hammer and sickles. From here, you enter the airport, go through immigration, and can fill out a visa on arrival thing. So you've arrived to this country called the icy Soviet state, with the capital being Skilokovija. Why Skilokovija? Just sounded vaguely Slavic. So for reference, this airport used to look completely different on the inside. The outside looked the same, but I completely restructured it based off Detroit Metro Airport and Narita International Airport. I tried to make it look like a very nice airport, as many countries have pretty nice airports. We have a Hard Rock Cafe, because of course I find it something that's really mandatory in my opinion. We have a Panda Express, we have a kebab store next to it as well, we have bathrooms, we have a connection to the subway. We also have a Mountain Dew vending machine with Baja Blast. But in general, I try to put a lot of effort into the airport, whether it's like the immigration or just being able to, you know, walk in the airport, something that you can't really do here. The whole idea is that you'll be able to see the airplanes taking off. There's also a military base really like right next to the airport. I also fixed the ATC tower recently to make it actually look like an ATC tower in real life. So beyond there, there's a couple ways to get out of the airport to the city or just anywhere else. Of course, Minecraft doesn't really have a lot of forms of transportation aside from like rail travel, so while that is definitely one way to take the subway to the main station, you can also just like walk there, theoretically take a bus, and there's going to be a lot of theoreticals here because Minecraft doesn't really have actual vehicles. The intent was just to make it look like a normal city. And yeah, for clarification, the city does have an extensive rail line, the majority of which was built in 2021, with getting expanded to the airport in 2022, and with another center line earlier this year. It connects Skilokovija, Vodagrad, and East Bitola all with one another. But it definitely took a while to create and mine out everything to make it look like an actual subway system, which I personally am proud of the results of it. So now you arrive to the center of Skilokovija. Immediately after exiting, you're in this like square area. Well, there's technically 2 squares. There's a bazar, like a bazaar nearby. There's also a stage and a nice waterfront area. You can also see the flags of the country, the icy Soviet state, and the city flag of Skilokovija. There's like food stands, the League of Communists headquarters, the city hall with mandatory voting, where you can vote for one party only, with not doing so leading to serious consequences. This is actually a reference to something. I remember when I was in 5th grade, for 1 year I went to a Catholic school. I'm not Catholic. We watched this one video called What's Right with America, and it's pure propaganda pretty much. Like a neocon, like documentary, realistic fiction film about like this family that comes back from like Papua New Guinea without any contact with the outside world for 8 years. They come back and it's like, oh, people are forced to vote. "Oh, that's un-American."
Put all your property on the card, sir.
Let go of them!
Things have changed in America, Mr. Gordon.
It was beyond stupid, to say the least, but it was certainly an inspiration. Now, beyond that, we also have a hospital, a pretty large hospital, because, you know, medical care, pretty important. There is also a temporary homeless shelter, and this is more reserved for people who need economic stability, as housing is guaranteed in the country. But there is also like a soup kitchen thing, and like a place to like shower, and yeah, stuff like that. I should also mention the square has been remodeled since I took this main video back in March. Since then, I've cleared out the area a little more and added like a church and a fountain, so also definitely didn't try to just early on place down a ton of hammer and sickles to make it communist or something. Oh yeah. We also have a theater that's playing Morbius. I swear I put this up like last year, I didn't feel like changing it. There's ticket booths on the outside of the building, and also I decided to make a redstone contraption with the lighting to make it look interesting, to like turn off the lights and everything. And beyond that, we have an apartment building above, and then also next to it, with this with a certain monument saying Brotherhood and Unity, we have a kiosk here, which is based off real kiosks in the former Yugoslavia. Well, I mean, from Yugoslav times. I also saw one of these when I was in Macedonia. The kiosk.
Yes, I remember these well.
It is abandoned now.
Newspapers, candies, ice cream, pop, everything in there.
Right across from the theater is a collection of 3 buildings. There is a museum, like a schoolhouse thingy, and a library. The museum is pretty small. It has like some mosaic on the wall, and of course there is no gift shop because it's just a bourgeois thing to have. The schoolhouse itself only has 1 room, unfortunately. We need to work on more of those. Then there's a small library that's decently tall. This used to be an expensive car dealership, which went against most principles of the country, so I'm glad I changed that back in around 2021, 2022. There's also a supermarket that has some shelves that do seem to be lacking, but that's just because you can't put anything on there, I swear. And then beyond that, we have some more apartment buildings. We have a music venue place, just some stores. We have a little restaurant there. Then also the like a newspaper area, because you know the press also tried to make it like a little elevated, taking slight inspiration from Jet Set Radio. I couldn't really pull it off that well though. And then we got some houses inspired by a documentary of a certain country. We also have a post office here, which has another clone of it existing in another part of the world. But it's just a basic post office. There is another one later that I will show that is a bit larger. We got our essential Adidas store, which I actually am wearing Adidas right now. Not only that, but we also have a phone store, which is pretty much like a knockoff of like several stores combined, vaguely looking like 7-Eleven. And then beyond that, we have the Commie blocks. I keep on forgetting the actual names, in whether it be Russian, Serbian, Macedonian, but I mean basically the state housing that was set up back in like the 50s, 60s, and 70s, kind of like a nod to that, and to make it look kind of cool, honestly, like has like a open entrance where you then can like walk into like an average room. The average apartment has like a living room, dining room type of thingy, a bed and bathroom, and that's it. Oh, and they also have balconies, which lags the game to an incredible extent. I do have some screenshots from when I was constructing them, and for clarification, there's 5 buildings with 4 floors with 8 rooms on each floor, so roughly 160 rooms total in this whole area. Next to the Commie blocks, there's some other stores, and then also the university, which I'm still working on, but I got one building out of the way. It's basically a multi-purpose building, but and then also the library there, which is based off U of M's law library in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I did add like a downstairs area also based off the library. There's a wall with a red star on it, coffee shop, and some other things to make it look nice. And then going north of the river, pretty much in like, I don't know, clockwise order, I guess. We have an art museum, which I spent a lot of time on. I also made like a basement area as if it was like built on top of previous buildings. I don't know, just a wacky idea I had. The art museum initially started off as just like a stage, but then I built it into an actual museum. There's areas for modern art, ancient artifacts, this one stick figure dude just kind of outside the art museum, like an indoor courtyard, and of the many paintings there's this masterpiece of a painting that I used to think was just orange juice. But yeah, there's also food court, and the modern art section has some of the greatest art possible too, like a tennis table basically. And then also the fire station, tried to make it use up the least amount of space as possible, like using good urban planning. And then right there we have definitely what's not any sort of secret police or like underground society below there. Moving on, then of course we have this cathedral, which is based off a real Orthodox Church in Sterling Heights, Michigan. Well, vaguely, I mean, there's many differences that I put in, but yeah, I thought that would be cool to make. Also inside the cathedral, I did combine the banquet hall in the beginning area, or kind of like a half banquet hall, which also has restrooms. Which reminds me, the city of Skilokovija has an ungodly amount of restrooms. I initially started this trying to make it realistic and trying to put bathrooms in places that would have bathrooms, like not have like a ton of stores or just like a ton of residential areas without bathrooms. But that made me realize how many bathrooms I just really had to put and how many toilets there are in the world. It's quite a scary thought. And from there's also just this other section of some residential areas based off like Western European style houses and like the Netherlands kind of. And then we got a driver's ed place, another restaurant, post office. Post offices are very important. And then we got the Yugoslav embassy, of course. I mean, probably should be larger than that. I should probably work on that as well. Then some more houses. There's also some public showers, with this actually not being the only one. Now you have to go through a toll in this area, which I kind of criticized toll booths here a little bit, more in a reference to the state of Pennsylvania having so many toll booths on their roads. But pretty much after you go past this area, it turns into one lane, and you enter the government-controlled territory, kind of where people don't really live necessarily, for the most part. Now this is the part you've been waiting for. So here we have the three main governmental buildings. We have the Capitol, which is one of the oldest buildings in the world actually, and then we also have the Legislative Assembly and also the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court is just based off any average court, and also vaguely the Japanese Supreme Court. The Capitol building itself used to be a pyramid. I don't have any screenshots of that, but I have something when I was like building the entrance of it, where I kind of messed up building like the what the soldiers are supposed to be. Now, I do want to mention that entrance area was vaguely based off the area around the White House, which I have been there, and at the entrance they have a sign saying 100% ID check, which is just, something doesn't sit right about how that... So, pretty much, there's like this whole like labyrinth of just like tunnels by the Capitol building, vaguely based off the Kremlin, also like having like this square area vaguely based off Red Square in Russia. Also just outside the square there is a monument dedicated to the Communist Party, also confirming the date being 2017. Like the upstairs has a lot of conference rooms, and then when you go downstairs, some more conference rooms, but then like also you have tanks in this area that like go upstairs, and then you have just like kind of like, I don't want to say bunkers, but you have areas where it has like an excess supply of just stuff, whether it be food, ores, whatever the case. And then there's also a secret entrance to the second floor, which is where the president stays. Just kind of like an average apartment, really. Not anything too extravagant, because remember, equality. Then there's an area where soldiers can like kind of train at, and it also has an emergency exit, because you know, why not at this point. From there's the state media. Also nearby there is a guitar store, because I didn't know where else to put it. There's also a very tall skyscraper, which I've only really worked on recently. It has where the data usage would come from, and also has an observation deck at the top where you can get to see the glorious flag of the country as well. Then also the Legislative Assembly itself. I tried to make the Legislative Assembly not based off anything in particular. Not that I didn't do that with the apartments either. I tried to make it look very impressive to what I could, pretty much, and I think I kind of accomplished that, maybe. But around 2022, I added more to make it look less of like a gray block, basically. And right next to it, there's another monument, and then right next to it, in fact, is a hockey arena. Now, this hockey arena did take a while to build, and proportionally there are some things that could have been worked on better, but I spent a lot of time into it, and also occasionally made it like a music venue place. On some other copies I have of the world, I tried to make it look as accurate to a hockey arena as possible. There's a first floor, a second floor, third floor, and then the fourth floor is kind of like where the suites are. Again, not for the bourgeoisie, but in general I tried to make it look pretty presentable, although the first floor could use some work. From the hallways of the top floor, you can also see the fist on top of the National Assembly as well. The stadium also has a subway line directly below it, which is very convenient, and again, another another restroom. Then next to the stadium, there's actually this very state-run hotel. It has bathrooms and showers on the top floor because I kind of forgot to add them in the rooms, where the rooms are basically just used for sleeping. It's more oriented for group tours. Also nearby, there's a factory for, you know, production stuff in general. Also where I pretend I know what's in the inside of a smokestack, very realistically. And then going along this highway, exiting that area, there's these roads that kind of try to lead off to go somewhere, but I didn't really do anything with that. I wanted to make like a really dense area, but just haven't gotten around to it or really felt like getting around to it. And then actually getting out of the city boundaries, there's a place I called Novo Selo, or, you know, new place, and it's just like one house. I haven't really done anything with it, but it's been there for a couple of years. So then entering the next area, we have Vodagrad. Now, it's separated by like a forest and a couple islands, and this area is based kind of off water travel. And pretty much what I thought was a good idea was to have it only connected by water, you know, by going with a boat, or I mean just sliding across the ice because everything is frozen, or by subway. I wanted to make this kind of like more like a hipster area, kind of like, I don't want to say annoying, but that was a little bit of the intention. But then I liked working on this area more than the rest of the world, which became a little problematic, which is when I started to revamp stuff. We have like an apartment building, we have a Starbucks. I believe it was also based off a real Starbucks in somewhere in British Columbia, I think near Abbotsford. And also we have a city hall, which is exactly the same as another city hall I'm going to show you in like a minute, because I thought, you know, just consistency, you know what I mean? You know, it's just like a little suburb kind of that has like some shipping stuff, and then as well as a fishing area. There's also this apartment building, which is based off an actual apartment in this one music video. It's essentially about a parody of a meme. The meme in question is a bit vulgar.
What is goatsy? Holy.
But I saw right through you when I saw your asshole. You're my goatsy. You're my goatsy.
And finding the video a couple years back was quite unexpected, but I tried to recreate many of the rooms in this apartment building, specifically in this one area. In general, I try to give it a consistent look, even though I really don't know how the actual apartment building looks outside of the music video. Oh, and then also the roof has the word muda on it, which means balls. Then the next area being East Bitola, being based off an actual city in Macedonia that I just decided to randomly take like the street view from and build it in Minecraft. And this summer, actually, I was able to go there, which was kind of felt weird.
You said you built this in Minecraft?
That's right. Pretty wacky, I would say. Yeah, so I built this building. Honestly, I feel like I built things in Minecraft larger than they are in real life, which is kind of funny. Like where this house is, I think it like used to continue on there, but this is new. I'm pretty sure. There's like a store here, I believe. It's bakery. And I built stuff up to this house right here, where I cut it in half. That garage wasn't there before. I know that for a fact.
Okay.
Pretty crazy. They redid this building that used to be kind of.
I'm sure they did. It was brand new.
Yeah, it was like wooden almost. Sun, yes. Oh yeah, this house right here is pretty huge. It's pretty wacky. This house was repainted, I believe. Oh, nice, really nice wind. Crazy. But yeah, I just like built this like couple blocks of an area, and then a park pretty much, which I thought would be an interesting idea to do, and try to give it some like graphic style, I suppose. I also spent time on the insides of these buildings, more time than I should have really. Whereas West Bitola, it's still kind of under construction. I'm debating on what to build there, thinking about like maybe like a school or something, but because, you know, we don't really have those. From there's also the Japanese embassy, just kind of randomly out here. And then there's also a solar panel field, so we're not completely reliant on fossil fuels, specifically coal. And as another side note, there is a lot of power lines in the world to make it kind of look somewhat realistic with where there would be electricity going to. And then beyond that, we have the other city hall, which is the exact same as the one in Vodagrad. There's also a Pizza Hut because it is just essential, I suppose. There's a parking lot that can also be used as a helicopter landing pad, and then just some random church. And then right next to it we have Novi Pazar, like another newer bazaar area. Because, you know, looks kind of funny. Which also reminds me, there is a place called Stari Grad, which is right next to Vodagrad, where it's supposed to look like an old city, kind of rinkety. Thought about the idea when listening to this album. I don't know, sometimes the inspirations I get for this can like either come from like listening to music or thinking about stuff like artistically. Very strange, but it's one way to like work on stuff, I suppose. Also right next to Stari Grad there is a hotel, just kind of there next to the water, and like this coastline of like a bay. There's also like kind of an industrial area with like cargo related stuff. I wanted to build something here, but then I remembered it's right across from the airport, so realistically probably wouldn't be a good place to put a lot of buildings. I did put this one restaurant there though, and it made the city boundary a little funky. And yeah, you're seeing that right, the city boundary does have a wall identifying where most of the boundary is. It's not to keep people in, I swear. Oh, and I do want to talk about the water for a second, because even though it's frozen, I built like a dam at this one section, and what I tried doing was making like a levee system that kinda works, but like, it depends. Well, it's the thought that counts, really. Going beyond that, going back to the southern part of East Bitola, we have the industrial area, which pretty much for the time being currently just has a lot of tractors for the farms. And let me mention the farms. So they make up kind of like a large portion of the city area, which is kind of ironic. There's a lot of wheat, carrots, beets, also 2 random houses, just because, you know, why not? I did actually put some effort into the insides of them a little bit, kind of just to throw it off a little bit. There's also a town called Juzhno Grad, which is just supposed to be this like one little village that was stuck in the city boundary. Then we also have the bar at the farms, because brewery or something. We also have a water tower there, as well as a train line. Now this train line in question goes to a place called Topol Grad, which which is supposed to be a place on the coastline, basically. And it's supposed to be where like kind of like the equivalent of the Russian dachas are. And this was inspired from just like seeing how in Russia people had like second homes and stuff for like the summer.
People are chilling and spending time away from the city and from the annoying city life, especially when you live in Chelyabinsk. You want to be away from that city.
So I thought that would be kind of interesting to include that. And I decided to also put a lake here, and just made this huge expanse of a lake. I also put just like a pirate ship there, kind of just to like throw off the mood a little bit, but I built it very poorly, admittedly. And then there's an island with a village that was already kind of auto-generated, but I added some things there. I called it Grad Plazha, the city of sand, and another random igloo spawned there, which there is also an igloo in the park area too, ironically, back at East Bitola. And going back there, there's a huge structure that I kind of avoided talking about. The prison. For reference, the prison took a couple days to build, I want to say, maybe like a week or two, and I built it around this time last year, actually. I pretty much built this like large fortress, essentially, where there's like one wing of it that has like that has many rooms, like several floors of rooms, a rehabilitation area. Then there's also areas for interrogation, with definitely no collaboration of any other organizations as well. Areas that files are kept at, an underground area, bunker thingy for just filled with weapons. There's also another wing for harsher convicts, and a room where you basically beat the crap out of people. I mean, it's essentially the nation's version of WWE, considering it's completely filmed. With that said, this is only for very harsh criminals. And then also solitary confinement. Try not to use that too much. We have like a shower area. We have the area where you take the photo for the identification. The area where you can like talk to loved ones who are, you know, not in prison. There's also a helicopter landing on one section of it, just in case any convicts are there. There's also another helicopter landing. There's a couple helicopter landings in the world, like by the hospital, by the park, just in case, even though, again, no helicopters. Then there's also like a helicopter and some other cars and stuff here. And then wrapping back around, there's also like just like these wastelands, the Nazor wasteland, kind of based off 2 names from the Legend of Zelda games. of like these wasteland areas in Link's Awakening and the Oracle games, I believe. Between the wasteland and that one hotel mentioned earlier, there is another propaganda sign, like a sign talking about progression, not regression. Oh, and then there's also like this national park thing, and then also a beach based off a real beach in the Balkans called Dupani Beach. A place that my grandfather used to joke about a lot because that was basically the only thing around his village that was noteworthy and people visiting. Which again, I went there in real life. I will make the video soon, I swear. We're at Dupani Beach. It's Dupani Beach. So you're probably wondering at this point just why. To that, I don't really have a clear answer other than just I use this kind of as like a source of like an outlet of creativity, and I guess to see like how far this project would go in general, because I've played Minecraft here and there, and it just kind of seemed like an interesting idea to have, and it's just one of those things I kept on building and building on. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this tour of the world. I do plan on expanding it in the future. Just I am busy with stuff though, so like actually in the past year I haven't really touched it too much, aside from like some changes here and there. But again, I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Darkness Falls 003, I hope you really enjoyed watching this video as well. And again, for all of you watching this, take it easy. And hopefully this video doesn't destroy my college opportunities. See you in the next one. Alright, editor Ushanka and Nick here. So for like a final epilogue, I just want to mention this is probably the hardest video I've edited. Compared to like my Japan video. The difference with that was that was more chronological, where here I had to go back and forth a lot, so it was a much different approach. So I really hope you enjoyed it in general. Hope you enjoyed the tour. And also my Europe videos plural. I was planning to release it at some point over my winter break, although I did not realize how long this video would take to release. So with that in mind, I will get around to it eventually, but the first video will take place in mainly Germany and Austria, so I really hope you'll enjoy that when it comes out. As for now, see you in the next video.